Welcome in, guys. So yeah, the NFL draft just a few days away, and yeah, so I kind of wanted to just get into some more mock drafts, but I don't know. It's kind of weird. I don't want to turn this into the bashing Drake May episode, but I don't really know what people are seeing in Drake May. Like, I like Drake May. I don't love Drake May. I just don't. Why? It seems like there's always a guy every year, and like, it seems like Mel Kiper does this too, ranks a guy that I just don't like. I don't see it. And it's not just Mel Kiper. A lot of people, like Drake May's that guy this year. A lot of people have him ranked highly, and I just don't see it. Like, I don't, like Will Anderson was kind of that guy last year. I don't see it with Drake May. Like, to be honest though, I'm one of those people though, I don't even care if I'm right. I hope Drake May balls out next year. I hope he becomes an elite NFL quarterback. And you guys, I'm happy. You guys can happily come in the comment section and rip me and tell me I was wrong. I'm perfectly fine with that. I just don't look. I guess I don't even care about necessarily being right. Like, I'm not that really that all that fixated on just like trying to be right as much as possible. But my honest opinion of Drake May, I just don't, for him to be the number 2 overall quarterback in this draft, I just don't see it. So yeah, this is a CBS mock draft. This has Caleb Williams going 1, Drake May 2, JJ McCarthy 3 to New England, Jane Daniels 4 to the Giants, Marvin Harrison 5 to the Cardinals, Joe Alt 6 to the Chargers, Malik Neighbors 7 to the Titans, Michael Penix 8 to the Vikings, Rome Odunze 9 to the Bears, and Brock Bowers 10 to the New York Jets. So yeah, I think New England getting JJ McCarthy, I think that would be a really nice pick. That would really spice things up in New England. Like, you look at New England, they're really reeling for just some firepower, not only at receiver, but obviously at the quarterback position as well. So I think New England getting JJ McCarthy would be fantastic. Giants getting Jane Daniels, that's unique. That's one we haven't really necessarily seen a whole lot. We'll pull up, here's one from Pro Football Focus. Oh, this is just kind of their analysis for all 7 rounds. Oh, here's a latest one from Pro Football Focus. Yeah, this is so yeah, you feel like maybe quarterbacks do go 1, 2, 3. It is possible. It could be Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jane Daniels 1, 2, 3. This says Marvin Harrison going 4 to the Cardinals. I think that's if there's one thing I could really see happen, I think it's the Arizona Cardinals taking Marvin Harrison. I certainly could see that happening. Malik Neighbors to the Chargers. Rome Odunze to the Giants at 6. Tennessee Titans getting Joe Alt. Atlanta Falcons, Laiatu Latu. Yeah, that's interesting. Laiatu Latu's the favorite to be taken by the Falcons at 8th overall. Yeah, Latu just a heck of an edge rusher. That's kind of the debate. Who's the better of the two? Dallas Turner or Laiatu Latu? Las Vegas, the Raiders actually trading up to get McCarthy here at 9. Boy, it is. I've never seen a mock draft season, if you will, where you have one player being mocked to so many different teams in so many different trade scenarios. JJ McCarthy, you talk about JJ McCarthy really is just the ultimate wild card. And it seems like the New York Jets, Brock Bowers at 10, that's become popular. Yeah, but that's the issue with mock drafts. You get so attached to these mock drafts that like Joe Alt's been mocked to the Titans so many times. Like, if that doesn't happen, then can you even believe that that's the right pick? Because you almost get fixated that you almost have it like ingrained in your mind that Joe Alt's already a Tennessee Titan just because of all these mock drafts. But we'll look at we'll have some fun here. We'll look at some of the potential second round. So this has Bo Nix slipping to the second round. Bo Nix, 33 to the Giants. The Steelers, 34, Zach Fraser, West Virginia. Arizona Cardinals, Ennis Rakestraw. Commanders, 36, getting Tyler Guyton. Mike Sanders still, 37 to the Los Angeles Chargers. Yeah, Mike Sanders still is a guy I think that probably goes second round, but he'll be a guy that, like, the team that gets him, I think that fan base will really be excited because Mike Sanders still is a really good football player. So kind of shit. I guess we'll go back up here. We'll look at some of the other notable picks. It says the Vikings getting Jared Verse. Yeah, Vikings could use a good young pass rusher. For years, the Vikings always seem to have a dude, whether it was Jared Allen going back, Daniil Hunter, Everson Griffin. When you think of Vikings, you do think of at least one stud edge rusher. So Jared Verse could really help that. Dallas Cowboys getting Graham Barton. Yeah, this is kind of the Cowboys going back to, we're going to have a strong offensive line again. For years, they were really a strong offensive line, and then that's been the talk the last few years. The Dallas Cowboys are like, everyone's saying, the Dallas Cowboys offensive line wasn't what it was in 2015, 16, 17. A pick like Graham Barton that's kind of going back to kind of the, maybe Jerry Jones kind of going back to addressing the foundational pieces, the key foundation to building a good football team, and getting a guy like Graham Barton will certainly bolster your offensive line. So Dallas Cowboys getting Graham Barton, I think that would be a really nice pick. Green Bay Packers getting Nate Wiggins. It seems like I think that actually is a pick. I think that's a pick I haven't seen mocked too often, but that's a pick I could actually really see happening. If you look at the Green Bay Packers, like for example, look at the draft 2 years ago. They took, a lot of people thought they'd go offense. They went Quay Walker, and they took the defensive tackle too from Georgia. I can't remember his name, but that's the Green Bay Packers. A lot of times, like, it seems like people always think the Packers are going offense. For a lot of that, main reason was because they had Aaron Rodgers. They wanted to get another weapon, but getting Nate Wiggins, that would be that based on the recent draft history of the Green Bay Packers, that would be a pick that makes a lot of sense because Nate Wiggins, guy from a big time program in Clemson, kind of like the guys they've taken in recent, like that draft a couple years ago, big time player from a big time program who also is projected as one of the top defensive players. So yeah, the Packers, a lot of people always associate them with wanting to take offensive players, especially when they had Aaron Rodgers, but that's kind of been their forte the past few years. Obviously, this is a new draft, but that's kind of been their thing, is taking the best available defensive players. Buccaneers getting Kool-Aid McKinstry. That would make a lot of sense. They don't no more Murphy Bunting, no more Carlton Davis. Tampa Bay really does need help at corner. So yeah, that would be, because even if the top three or four corners are gone at that point, you still are getting a guy in Kool-Aid that at the very least is going to be a good solid corner in the National Football League, kind of like what Murphy Bunting and Carlton Davis was. So that would be, you talk about a pick that's really filling a need. That's really a pick. That's a pick that certainly fills a need for the Buccaneers. Cardinals getting Chop Robinson. Yeah, I mean, you look at Arizona, who'd they get? Who does Pro Football? So yeah, Marvin Harrison, Chop Robinson. Like that's a rock solid start to the draft. Like that's not, maybe you could argue that's not like the most. That's not like the two very best picks they could make at 4 and 27, but that's two picks where it's like, okay, that's really setting that's at least a good start. Like Marvin Harrison and Chop Robinson to anchor your draft, like your first two picks. That's a really strong start for Arizona. Bears getting Brian Thomas. Yeah, Brian Thomas, Caleb Williams, that'd be a nice combo. Says New England getting Michael Penix. Yeah, that is, and this has the Lions trading up to get Quinyon Mitchell. Interesting. That was before Quinyon Mitchell had this huge rise in his draft stock. I think a lot of Lions fans were buzzing about Quinyon Mitchell just because the Lions are a team that is in need of a corner. But that would be interesting just because that would be, I don't know if I necessarily see Quinyon Mitchell becoming a Lions pick because I have not necessarily, this sounds like I'm kind of bashing Quinyon Mitchell, but I worry that he doesn't know how good he can be. And some people would say that's a compliment when you say a guy doesn't know how good he can be. But also at times that can be a negative just because like if he doesn't know how good he can be now, when will he ever know? When will that ever cross his mind? Like you can argue that, he's still young. Like, yes, he is still young, but like a lot of guys, like corner's a position where it's just like even Derek Stingley, even though like Stingley, Mitchell kind of remind me of each other just because like Stingley at least had that one dominant season. Like I wouldn't say, even though Mitchell, like you could say this is crazy having this this take that I'm about to have here. You could say that he didn't necessarily have a dominant season. I mean, he had four interceptions in the game, but like if you watch, he wasn't like I made the point on one of my shorts. Like if you watch, teams weren't necessarily scared to throw at this guy. I think like Stingley, like you look at like not even just Stingley, but you look at like Patrick Peterson, Charles Woodson. I know this is a stretch. Jalen Ramsey. I know this is a stretch comparing him to guys like that because those are Hall of Famers. Charles Woodson, Patrick Peterson, Deion Sanders. But like, if you're talking about a guy that's 6'3" and runs 4.3 at the cornerback position, and he had 4 interceptions this year, wouldn't you think based off of those traits, this guy had a chance to be in that discussion? But you watch this tape and kind of the point I was going to make here before I kind of got sidetracked. Look at my shorts. Wouldn't you think that a guy that is viewed in this high regard, at least in this point of the draft process, like a few days away from the draft, wouldn't you think teams would be scared of him? Like you're talking about a guy that, granted, he may not, it's high praise comparing him to Charles Woodson, Patrick Peterson, but don't you think teams would have been more scared to throw at him? Like teams were scared to throw at Patrick Peterson. And then Stingley the freshman year, teams became leery to throw at Derek Stingley. Teams were leery to throw at Deion Sanders. I know that's going back a while, but I don't know. That's the thing with Quinyon. Each year I have that expectation for a corner. I want to find the next Nnamdi Asomugha, Darrelle Revis. I want the next shutdown corner because that having a shutdown corner is such a valuable thing. And with Quinyon Mitchell, knowing that he's 6'3" and runs a 4.3 40, and his movement is pretty fluid, like just knowing those three things, like that's what gives you the hope. Like there's more meat on the bone here. There's more room to grow, but it also gives you the skepticism. Like if he's not dominant now, then when will he ever be? So that's kind of the question I have with Quinyon Mitchell a little bit. Here's another mock draft having the New Orleans Saints take an offensive lineman. So I tell you what, I mean, if you're the New Orleans Saints, I feel like you almost have to take an offensive lineman now to fulfill your destiny. It's like the Tennessee Titans with Joe Alt. So the New Orleans Saints, though, because that's what's interesting each year about the NFL draft. The teams picking kind of in the middle are like, they're always, like the middle of the picks are never really discussed a whole lot. A lot of people talk about, well, actually not even like the end of the first round picks. A lot of people like lead after the draft process. It's all about the top 5, top 10 picks. Those are the most looked at picks. The Saints in that spot, like you get the 14, 15, 16 range in the middle of the draft because it's a lot of it depends on who's still available. Like, because a lot of it depends on how many quarterbacks go, because then they can push some of the top non-quarterbacks down the board. But the Saints in that interesting spot where it's like, they could still get a guy to fall, like a really good skill position guy to fall. Like, for example, maybe Brian Thomas falls to him, or maybe even this is a stretch, but maybe Rome Odunze fell to him, or maybe Maybe Dallas Turner fell to him. Maybe one of those guys. But also at the same time, I think why offensive lineman makes a lot of sense because a lot of the times those guys may not fall. Or in the case of this draft, those guys might not fall, and then the Saints could just take the best available offensive lineman. And we'll look at some more articles here. 7-round mock draft. Those always get kind of crazy. Look at this Eric Eholm guy. He's with NFL Network. Caleb Williams 1, Jaden Daniels 2. I'd really be interested to hear some of these guys that have connections to NFL guys, what some of these NFL people think about some of these players. It really would be interesting. Like, I'd like to hear the assessment on Marvin Harrison from all 32 teams. You'd likely think it's all high praise, but at the same time, you never know. Like, it could be, there could be 1, 2, 3 teams that are like, yeah, we like Malik Neighbors more. There could even be a team that has Marvin Harrison the third on their board. Because you look at, that's the thing, I think, if you're just a big football fan, like, even if you're more of an NFL guy, you've heard Marvin Harrison's name. Like, some of these NFL guys, I don't think, they're so busy during the season, I don't think they watch any college football. So unless they live under a rock, they've obviously heard of Marvin Harrison, but they're not like when you haven't watched him, it's kind of a different thing. Like, I know it's one thing to hear the hype, but then it's another thing to watch a guy and hear the hype. Then you're like say, even if there's a team that doesn't even, or that has Marvin Harrison third receiver, they may still have watched him in college and heard the hype, but they may just be they haven't seen, or they didn't hear enough hype that it really clouded their it really kind of gave them a skewed view, and they were and they honestly, their assessment was they liked Neighbors and Odunze more. So this mock draft here, I feel like is probably what's going to happen if I had to guess. Caleb Williams 1, Jaden Daniels 2, Drake May 3. That's what I've seen the most. That's what's been the most common. Vikings McCarthy 4. Yeah, this has been kind of what we've seen the most. I would guess this is probably what's going to happen. And you feel like the Chargers probably going to get Marvin Harrison. Yeah, Giants, Malik Neighbors. Yeah, these 7 picks, I think, are what we've seen. This has Byron Murphy going to Atlanta. We've seen a lot of it, mostly Dallas Turner. So, yeah, Caleb Williams, 1. Jaden Daniels, 2 to Washington. New England taking Drake May at 3. Minnesota taking J.J. McCarthy at 4. The Chargers taking Marvin Harrison at 5. The Giants taking Malik Neighbors at 6. The Titans taking Joe Alt at 7. Yeah, that's pretty standard of what we've seen often. It might not be the case, but it also could be. It certainly could happen. I tell you what, though, I went back and watched Cooper DeJean, and Cooper DeJean is a really good corner, and his movement skills are just really, he's got really fluid movement skills. And yeah, I think Iowa was torn. They wanted to play him some nickel, some safety, but I think this guy just really is just a really good outside corner. And DeJean, it's kind of one of those things where Iowa understood DeJean was their best athlete, but sometimes you got to just keep him on the outside so he can just shut down that outside receiver. And a lot of times how you can tell a corner is a really good player is if it just looks effortless for him. I think with Cooper DeJean, that's a sign that he's going to be a really good corner. It just looks effortless for him. His hips are so fluid. He has no problem dropping into zone. He can play man, can play press man, he can play off man, can mirror receivers well. He doesn't fall for single, double moves. He doesn't really bite on any quick fakes or he doesn't really get overly anxious when the receiver's chopping their feet and you're going to make a cut. So, yeah, there's so much to like about Cooper DeJean. He might be my number one corner, him and Quinyon Mitchell. But I think what I worry about Quinyon Mitchell, I think, even though the tape's good, the measurables are off the charts, especially 6'3", 4'3", 40. I just worry that, like, he's a guy that you can't bank on the traits too much with Mitchell. Like, it's important to value traits, especially at the cornerback position. But I worry that with Quinyon Mitchell, will I make a mistake with him and just valuing the traits too much? Then, so looking at the consensus board, Brock Bowers number 10. I don't know why Brock Bowers is the consensus number 10 player. Like, if you're being honest, like, if you're being completely honest, I think Brock Bowers is the number 3 player in this draft. And I could be wrong. I think probably I get more, like, if you said that before the season started, obviously I know things change. He did get hurt this year, but he still played in some games and still was, in the games he played, looked like the Brock Bowers we know. I think if you're being honest, Caleb Williams 1, Harrison 2. I think if you're saying Brock Bowers is the best player or the second best player, I think that's up for debate. But to say he's the third best player, yes, you can debate that, but also I think you can really hold your ground firmly with that. Like, Brock Bowers can play. Brock Bowers can play. He's like, the dude is just he's a weapon. He's so good after the catch, like making a testing. Like, Brock Bowers, there's so much good in Brock Bowers' game. And this guy, like, you've seen, like, is having an elite tight end everything in the NFL? Or it's like, in the NFL, can you be successful without having a good tight end? But I think when you have an elite one, that makes a difference. So not having a tight end, like, look at the Chargers. They haven't, the last few years, with the exception of this year, they've had a good offense without a good tight end. But, like, honestly, having an elite tight end just makes such a difference. I mean, just ask the Lions, ask the 49ers. So, yeah, I'm just a big fan of Brock Bowers. And, like, this is one, like, I guess this isn't really, like, a take to really, like, get bent out of shape about. But, like, to me, like, I need to stop, like, overthinking things. Like, I see Brock Bowers at 10. I'm like, okay, yeah, well, he was hurt. I can see why. Like, no, I'm gonna give this some pushback. I know this is the consensus isn't even a person that does it, so I'm pushing back against not even a human, but, like, also at the same time, like, I'm for holding your ground on takes, and I truly believe Brock Bowers is the third best player in this draft. Like, you have to, I think Caleb Williams and Brock Bowers, like, those are two guys where you can't just, like, throw out this season, but you have to like, look at their first 2 years in college football, and you really have to, like, you have to look at the whole body of work. And when you look at the whole body of work with Caleb Williams and Brock Bowers, it's really strong. Alrighty. So, yeah, I wanted to do a mock draft. So this is what I would do this is what I personally would do. Starting with the Chicago Bears. What I would do if I were the Chicago Bears, I would take Caleb Williams. I think that seems like a lock at this point. I think if you don't take him, that's overthinking it. So if I were the Chicago Bears, I would take Caleb Williams. What I would do with Washington. So this is interesting. I guess I have to make a pick here hypothetically, but I honestly don't know what I would do if I was Washington. I think I would probably try to trade back, but I'm not going to factor any trades here. So if I'm Washington here, I'm going to take, you know what, I will just take, I'm going to take J.J. McCarthy. I will take J.J. McCarthy. Look, that would be a surprise, but also, actually, the way mock drafts have been trending, though, that might not be a huge surprise necessarily. Because like J.J. McCarthy's been mocked to pretty much, or to the Vikings, to the Giants, to so many teams now. So I don't know if that would even come as much as a surprise at this point. But so Caleb Williams 1, J.J. McCarthy 2, New England. I'm going to hold my ground here. If I'm New England, I'm taking Marvin Harrison Jr. New England could go quarterback, but if you're in New England, you're thirsting for stars. Why not get you a guy that a lot of people have touted to be a star in the NFL the last couple of years and getting a guy like Marvin Harrison? So I have New England taking Marvin Harrison with the 3rd pick. The 4th pick, the Arizona Cardinals. So the Cardinals in a pretty good spot here. I think Malik Neighbors makes a lot of sense, but I would go... Yeah, Malik Neighbors makes too much sense. I'm almost tempted to take Rome Odunze just because you kind of get the feel like Kyler Murray that'd be a better fit for him, a receiver like Rome Odunze, kind of just that guy that's mature beyond his years, like I called him. I feel like him and Kyler Murray could have I could picture them having a better connection than him and Malik Neighbors. But so yeah, if I'm the Cardinals, I'm going to take Rome Odunze here. And then the Chargers here at 5. Chargers, this is kind of where the draft. Well, this draft is going to be fun overall, but this is a pick I'm actually excited for. Jim Harbaugh's first year. Chargers, a team that probably one of the favorites to go from. There's always the team that can go from worst to first in the division. The Chargers could be that team. There's still a talented roster. So what do you do when you're a new head coach, talented roster, picking 5th? What do you do here? Well, I think I'll do this. I would take Brock Bowers. So at the Chargers, I'm going to take Brock Bowers here. And this kind of sets up nicely because this is actually, this is pretty honest of what I would do. And this sets up nicely for the Giants here. So the Giants offer that's too good to pass here. I'm taking Malik Neighbors. So in case you just tuned in, I'm going to take Caleb Williams 1 to Chicago, J.J. McCarthy 2 to Washington, Marvin Harrison 3 to New England, Rome Odunze 4 to Arizona, Brock Bowers 5 to the Chargers, Malik Neighbors 6 to the Giants. The Titans, why not? The guy that every mock draft has him take. I'm going to have him take Joe Alt. And then Atlanta, I'm going to have them take... a lot of different ways Atlanta could go here. I actually, I have Dallas Turner, my edge rusher. I'm actually tempted for them to take Laiatu Latu. I think Dallas Turner would be a great pick, but Laiatu Latu, I think, this is a team that, I think, a pick like Laiatu Latu, I think, is kind of setting that could really help them set an identity. Because, you look at, Arthur Smith, I like Arthur Smith. He's kind of he wants to run the ball, get physical. You feel like why there's more buzz around the Falcons taking Laiatu Latu. You feel like that's a pick that can really set a physical tone on their defense. Like Laiatu Latu, I think that's why a lot of NFL teams like him, is not just because of the strength, but this guy could be a tone setter for a defense. Just the way he plays, you think strength, power, disruption. Not that those things are obviously apparent in Dallas Turner's game too. I just think for whatever reason with Laiatu Latu, that could really be a tone setter. So the Atlanta Falcons, I'm going to take Laiatu Latu here. I feel like this is a safe pick too. I don't think Dallas Turner is is an unsafe pick, but I feel like Laiatu Latu, I just have a hard time seeing him be a bust. This is a guy who I think even if he's not a star player, I think he's a guy that the fans are going to love. This guy that just, you look at some ups and downs in college, transfer from this guy, you get to feel like he's going to make it work in the NFL. And the Bears at 9. What do the Bears do at? This is a good question. What do the Bears do at 9? Well, I think I would just take Dallas Turner here. So I'm the Bear. I'm just going to take. Well, don't want to overthink it here. Yeah, I'm gonna take Dallas Turner. Get you a stud edge rusher. New York Jets at 10. This might be a little surprise. I'm gonna take Jets at 10. I'm gonna take. I think they should take. You know what? I'm gonna have them take Byron Murphy here, because I think Byron Murphy will go higher than people think. I think the highest I've seen him go in some mock drafts is 8 to Atlanta. Byron Murphy and Quinnen Williams, like on their defensive line, that's a legitimate problem for offensive line. Like you look at the value of the defensive tackle market, you have a elite defensive tackle in Quinnen Williams who you paid. Now you combine him with Byron Murphy, like two defensive tackles like that is a serious problem for opposing offenses. So yeah, Byron Murphy to the Jets, like that's a pick where you're like, even if you don't love it, that's a pick where you're just like, it's hard. Like even if you're a fan, it's like it's hard to not imagine Byron Murphy and Quinnen Williams on the same defensive line, and it's hard to not imagine that and not at least acknowledge that could be dominant. The Vikings here. I'm just gonna have the Vikings take Jaden Daniels. Vikings in need of a quarterback. Get Jaden Daniels. Denver Broncos. What do the Broncos do? What would I do? I'm gonna have them take Jerzon Newton. And then the Raiders. Really tempted to take Cooper DeJean. Yeah, I'm gonna have the Raiders take Cooper DeJean. Just get a stud in the secondary. Then the Saints. Yeah, I'll have the Saints take O-line here. Why not? Talisi Fuaga, a guy with the versatility to play guard or tackle. Yeah, I think Fuaga would be a really nice fit here for the Saints. So I have them taking Saints going Fuaga. The Colts. Yeah, a lot of Colts, a lot of different ways they could go. I'm gonna have a Colts take Quinyon Mitchell here. Get him a good corner. Seattle. I have Seattle take Graham Barton. That's a pick that makes a lot of sense. Then you're trying to, with that pick, you could really establish a strong offensive line. Not that the Seattle's offensive line isn't strong right now, but that would be a pick that could really take their offensive line another step up. Jacksonville, I'm going to have them take Jared Verse. 18, the Bengals. I'll have the Bengals go. I'll have the Bengals take J.C. Latham. Or I'll have them take Olu Fashino. Get him some help on the O-line. Here we are with the Rams. I don't know. Yeah, Rams could definitely use offensive line. Yeah, I'm going to take Troy Fontenot, a guy that could play tackle guard. Try to go faster here with the Steelers. What did the Steelers do? Yeah, corners in need. I'm going to have the Steelers take Nate Wiggins. Eagles could go O-line. Yeah, I'm going to have them take O-line here. I'm going to go J.C. Latham to the Eagles. Or no, sorry, that was the Dolphins. The Dolphins at 21. I'm going to have the Dolphins. Yeah, Dolphins get J.C. Latham. Eagles here. Another tackle man, Armarius Mims. And then the Vikings back at 23. So Adam take Jane Daniels. What do the Vikings do here? 23. I'm gonna take Terrion Arnold. Cowboys, I'm going to take Chop Robinson, combine him with Michael Parsons. It'll be a nice pass rush. Green Bay Packers here. I have the Packers take Brian Thomas. It seems like every year the people have the Packers taking a wide receiver. Why not take a wide receiver here? Just kind of do these last few picks rapidly. Tampa. I have Tampa go. I have Tampa take Braden Fisk. I think that'd be a nice fit. Get a guy in the interior. Cardinals. Have the Cardinals take Kool-Aid. Bills, yeah, could use another wide receiver. I have them take Ladd McConkey. Lions here at 29. Lions do it here at 29. I'm going to take TJ Tampa at corner. And then Baltimore. Who would Baltimore take? I'm going to go Zach Frazier, West Virginia here. 31, the Niners. I'm going to go... The Niners take Chris Jenkins out of Michigan, defensive tackle. And then the Chiefs here. The Chiefs do. I'm going to give them some depth on the interior offensive line. I'm going to give Jackson Powers Johnson. So I'll recap my top 10 again. Caleb Williams, 1 to the Bears. J.J. McCarthy, 2 to the Commanders. Marvin Harrison, 3 to New England. Rome Odunze, 4 to Arizona. Brock Bowers, 5 to the L.A. Chargers. Malik Neighbors, 6 to the Giants. Joe Alt, 7 to the Titans. Laiatu Latu, 8 to the Falcons. Dallas Turner, 9 to the Bears. And then Byron Murphy, 10 to the Jets. So I'm going to wrap it that, guys. Thanks for tuning in to the Brant Partial Show. Stay tuned for more episodes and clips. Till next time, peace.